Hello Ice and Fire Nerds, this is Chris, and this will continue our Game of Thrones Foreshadowing series, and we'll pick up right where we left off in episode 11 with season 1, episode 4, Cripples, Bastards, and Broken Things. Alright, let's pick up right where we left off, and we have in the following scene, Dany and Jorah heading to Vosdothrak.
If my brother was given an army of Dothraki, could you conquer the Seven Kingdoms?
The Dothraki have never crossed the narrow sea. They fear any water their horses can't drink.
But if they did?
So in this scene, we get a little backstory from Jorah as far as what the hell he's doing across the narrow sea in Essos in the first place. But the point being here that Dany specifically asked him what if the Dothraki would ever cross the narrow sea. Now, we haven't gotten an actual payoff scene yet, but we did see this in season 6. So she does finally get the Dothraki to follow her due to her strength in season 6 and forget about the damn poisoned water the horses won't drink. And now we'll probably get to see a payoff scene in season 7 as far as how they'll actually do in war. And in the next scene we have Daria and Viserys having a little bath time.
They call you the last dragon.
They do?
You have dragon's blood in your veins.
Yeah, nothing particular here. It's just, you know, it's Daria in a bathtub. That's all we need to see. I ain't heard a word they said. No, I kid. There are some things here in this scene, and the first one would be...
The breath of the greatest dragon forged the Iron Throne. The swords of the vanquished. 1,000 of them. Melted together like so many candles.
No, Viserys, there's not even close. You're exaggerating there a bit. Maybe in the books, yeah. In the books for sure. But in the show, no. There's barely 200. I think Littlefinger counted them.
1,000 blades, taken from the hands of Aegon's fallen enemies, forged in the fiery breath of Balerion the Dread.
There aren't 1,000 blades. There aren't even 200.
And then, of course, we have Daria telling Viserys...
I have always wanted to see a dragon. There's nothing in the world that I would rather see.
And of course we know later on that dragons are in fact born, and we have this little scene here.
Dracarys. He'll be able to feed himself from now on.
Daria also tells Viserys some things she's seen in this world.
What have you seen?
I've seen a man from Ashai with a dagger of real dragon glass.
So she said she's seen a man from Ashai with a blade of dragon glass, which makes us wonder at this point in the story what the hell is dragon glass, but it seems to be important, and of course we see this later.
It's been here a long time.
Oh, must be dragon glass.
Dragon glass.
The most is called obsidian.
I've seen a man who could change his face the way that other men change their clothes.
And of course we meet him later too.
Good.
Farewell, Arya Stark.
And then she says she sees a pirate that wears his weight in gold, and I think she's talking about this guy.
I am a pirate. I'm an excellent pirate. I don't sail for promises.
Of course you do. A promise that somewhere on the sea somebody's got some gold and you can take it from him.
That's a promise that always comes true.
As is mine.
And then as they continue the conversation about history and dragons, she pulls out a little candle and has a little bit of fun with Viserys.
It tries to hurt them. Gets burned away to nothing. Melted. Like so many candles.
Ow.
Now this is not really a big deal, but the point being here that she poured this hot candle wax on Viserys and he actually said ow. So this is in direct contrast with Dany in episode 1 where she got in a scalding hot bath. So this whole entire scene here is playing off the idea that Dany is in fact the real dragon and Viserys is not going to last very long. And of course later on we get confirmation that real dragons cannot die by fire because we see this.
A crown for king.
He then goes on to tell Daria about some dragon history because he's been taught a few things, but the point being here that after he names off all these dragons, in the end he really doesn't give a fuck about dragons. Dany obviously does. She's infatuated with her dragon eggs at this point already, and it just continues this whole entire theme here of who the last dragon really is. In our next scene we have Sansa and Septa Mordain having a little conversation as they make their way through the throne room.
Someday your husband will sit there and you will sit by his side. All the lords of Westeros will gather here to see the little prince.
What if I have a girl?
Now right here, Septa Mordain tells Sansa, one day your husband will sit there and you will stand beside him. Obviously this didn't turn out quite like that. She never married Joffrey, but she did in fact end up marrying Tyrion, although they didn't consummate the marriage to make it official. So I'll leave this one for you guys in the comments below. Do you think this hints at Sansa becoming powerful in the future? She's already essentially probably going to be Queen in the North in season 7, or at least in charge of Winterfell, but could this hint of something else, possibly even her and Tyrion getting back together someday? But I basically still believe that at the end of this thing, there will not be an Iron Throne to sit on. Or at least that one. And in the same conversation, Sansa is worried about having all girls.
What if I only have girls?
I wouldn't worry about that.
Jane Paul's mother had 5 children, all of them girls.
Yes, but it's highly unlikely.
But what if?
Now here the Septa specifically says that Sansa would probably not have all girls, but then of course Sansa keeps saying, but what if, because she's got to be the perfect queen. But the point being here that Septa Mordain says that if that did in fact happen, that the crown would pass to his younger brother Tommen, and she had no idea that she was absolutely right. Okay, I know you guys love seeing that scene where Joffrey chokes to death, so I'll play it a couple more times. Alright, you're welcome. So anyway, the point being here that Joffrey does end up dying and Tommen does in fact get the crown, although of course it has nothing to do with Sansa and her children. And then of course in the same scene we get some more information about what happened in that throne room a long time ago.
Grandfather and uncle were murdered here, weren't they?
They were killed on the orders of King Aerys, yes, commonly known as the Mad King.
Why were they killed?
You should speak to your father about these matters.
So Sansa's talking about here that her grandfather and her uncle got killed there, and that makes us start to question this thing again. We've already heard it from Ned previously in previous episodes. So this starts to give us a little bit more intrigue about what the hell happened in the throne room, what the history of that is, and of course that was the death of Brandon and Rickard Stark, Ned's father and brother, and that's the event that started Robert's Rebellion, although that does certainly tie back into Lyanna Stark because that's why Brandon and Rickard went to Mad King Aerys in the first place, to get her released. So at this point in the story, it adds a little more intrigue to the Starks, what went down in the past, and why Robert is still called the Usurper. And then of course Sansa, being the brat she is, says this.
I don't want to speak to my father, ever.
Sansa, you will find it in your heart to forgive your father.
No, I won't.
So she'll never forgive her father for killing Lady, I suppose, and she never wants to talk to him again. I bet you feel like shit now, Sansa, for not saying thank you for that doll your father bought for you. Alright, in our next scene we see Ned heading back to his office and he sees Arya balancing on one toe.
Tomorrow, I'm going to be chasing cats.
Cats? Sirio says.
He says every swordsman should study cats. They're as quiet as shadows and as light as feathers. You have to be quick to catch them.
He's right about that.
You have to be quick, etc. And Ned said, you got that right, so could he be talking about this? I mean, lions are cats, right? And also, of course, in this scene, the main thing here was that Bran woke up and she asked Ned if Bran's going to come live with them because he wanted to be on the King's Guard, etc. They basically go into the fact that he can't do any of those things. Ned says he may be a Lord of a Holdfast someday, etc. But what's really cool here is they threw in a little bit of history and he said this.
Well, he might raise castles, like Brandon the Builder.
So he says that specifically he could raise Holdfast like Bran the Builder did. A lot of people think that perhaps Bran the Builder is in fact the same Bran that we know, some way or another. Now, I don't totally agree with this. We talked about this a little bit in Q&As that James and I did, and maybe a little bit in the Dragon Raised by Wolves series. Although I think it'd be pretty cool for Bran to be responsible for both raising the wall in the past and making the wall fall down, likely in season 7. I don't see how he can manifest himself physically to be Bran the Builder, although I do think he could possibly influence Bran the Builder in the past to build the wall in the first place. So that way Bran will be both responsible for building the wall and probably bringing it down in season 7 if that happens. But then again, Ned said that Bran could sit on a King's Council one day. He could be talking about Jon's King's Council now that he's king in the north, or in fact a Queen's Council if Dany ever becomes Queen of Westeros. Alright guys, that'll do it for this episode. I'm going to try to keep these a little bit shorter and a little bit sweeter so I can continue to upload damn near daily. So again, as usual, thank you for all the support, especially to you guys on Patreon. And as usual, a quick shout out to my executive smokescreen producers, Griffin, Lala Gig, Vol Guy 10, and Kissa Powell. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the support. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and make sure you click that notification button as well. People are still not being notified of videos when they drop, so be sure to do that, and make sure you're still subscribed as well if you were subscribed before. So thanks again, you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.